Battle Royal by Ralph Ellison. Ralph Ellison was born in Oklahoma City and lived from 1914 to 1994. His grandparents on both sides had been slaves, and his parents moved to Oklahoma Territory to raise a family because it had no history of slavery. His father died when he was 3, and his mother went to work as a domestic servant to support them. She was an activist with the Socialist Party and brought home discarded books and phonograph records from the white homes where she worked. Ellison became interested in literature and music, playing the trumpet in high school and relating the fiction he was reading to his life and community. Beginning in 1933, he went to college and studied music for 3 years in Alabama, then moved to New York where he met Langston Hughes and Richard Wright. They encouraged him to become a writer. In 1939, Ellison's essays, short stories, and reviews began to appear in magazines and newspapers. He joined the Merchant Marines in 1943 and got a bad kidney infection. Recuperating on a friend's farm in Vermont, he took his typewriter out to a barn, tried to work on a novel, and was getting nowhere. One day he typed, "I am an invisible man." He had no idea where the line came from, but he started wondering what kind of character would say it. Invisible Man was published in 1952, became a bestseller, received the National Book Award for Fiction, and is considered a classic. Critic Richard D. Lyons described the novel as a chronicle of a young black man's awakening to racial discrimination and his battle against the refusal of Americans to see him apart from his ethnic background, which in turn leads to humiliation and disillusionment. The novel begins with these words: "I am an invisible man. No, I am not a spook like those who haunted Edgar Allan Poe, nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I am a man of substance, of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids, and I might even be said to possess a mind. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me." Battle Royal is an excerpt from Invisible Man and is often anthologized as a short story. It appears after the prologue in which the nameless protagonist is introduced. In the story and the novel, Ellison's realistic rendering of experience is so successful that the reader instantly grasps his significance in terms of larger social, psychological, and moral truths. For example, his account of the festivities at the Men's Smoker, which is an informal gathering for men, symbolizes the condition of blacks in America, while completely convincing us of its verisimilitude or truth. The fine detail of Ellison's narration and description, the revealing images, carry the force of his theme. The reader keenly feels what the characters experience. Ellison described a battle royal as a ritual, a rite of initiation of the kind that separates boys from their families, challenges them to prove their courage, and subjects them to instruction by elders. In the story, the young man is being initiated into the realities of the oppressive white world, in which he lives and must come to understand. The narrator's dream of his grandfather is a type of instruction by an elder, even as it confuses the young man trying to understand it. The grandfather knew his place and played his role, but never believed it. Inside, he was completely different from the face he presented to the world, and this troubles his descendants, who never know how the grandfather feels until just before he dies. The protagonist seeks to please white folks so he can get ahead. He wants to make alliances. Thus, he subjects himself to trickery and delusions the white men choose to impose on him. He comes to read his graduation speech, but is put through a painful and humiliating ritual, having to guess what they want, blindly groping for money, but also for his own identity.